Welcome to my top 10 most anticipated comics for February 15th, 2023. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. Before we dive into it, I just gotta give a quick shout out to Whatnot. Guys, download Whatnot today. It's absolutely for free. You can use my link in the description box below because when you do, it's going to give you a free $15 off of your first purchase, off of that first live auction that you do. Whether it's cards, it's comics, it's Legos, it's Funkos, it's there for you to buy. 15 free dollars. That's $5 more than what Comic Tom and Gem Mint and some of the others are offering. So why not take advantage of that free cash? So download Whatnot today, absolutely for free. All right, guys. So let's dive into it. We're going to go into the hot seat book, and this book is truly on the hot seat this week. And this one goes to the Fantastic Four. This is issue 4. It claims no more foreshadowing. What really happened back in New York is finally revealed. We're going to get to see the Fantastic Four all together, not on their own little separate adventures anymore. There's going to be this alien invasion, and can they survive? This is where the true story begins. No more messing around. So we'll see what happens. We're going to see if this is worthy to stay on my pull list. If not, I'm probably going to drop this bad boy because I've been holding on to it a little bit too long in my opinion, but we'll see what happens. The book that's on the rise, this one goes to the Invincible Iron Man. This is issue 3. Issue 1 was a little bit questionable. Issue 2 makes you feel like, okay, Tony Stark is not really, down on his luck and everything else. It's just somebody that's after him. There's somebody that is trying to frame him, just put him under the ground, right? So it's not just like, deconstructing the character here. And Tony Stark has to find out what is going on, who is the culprit behind all this. And the important thing in this issue, more than anything, I feel, because this is the reason why I fell in love with Iron Man to begin with, is the armor. We're going to get a new armor for War Machine. That's worth it, like I said, in itself. Legacy numbering 653, 28 pages, and this is a $4 comic book. Coming in at number 10, we have Masters of the Universe, Masterverse issue 1. So it sounds like this Masters of the Universe book is going to be a multiverse book where we get to see all these different versions of our favorite Masters of the Universe characters, right? I think if you're an 80s kid and you grew up to Masters of the Universe, I think you're going to appreciate this. But it looks like, if you watched other generations of the cartoons over the years, you might appreciate this too. So I think they're trying to make this more of a multi-generational comic and then just, kids from the 80s. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to see what it has to offer. I'll give it maybe a couple issues. This one is a $4 comic. Coming in at number 9, we have Nemesis Sinister Nightcrawlers issue 1. So this is a spin-off off of the X-Men event that is actually going on, and this is Sinister's private assassins 10 years into the twisted future. Mr. Sinister unleashes his private army of assassins called the Legion of Night. Meet Wagnerine. How awesome is that? So you're going to get a mashup between Nightcrawler and Wolverine. I think that could be interesting. That could be a lot of fun. Hopefully the story is not stupid to where you're like rolling your eyes, but it sounds like a fun thing, and I think this is something that people can pick up. This is obviously, like I said, a Sins of Sinister tie-in. This book is 28 pages, and this one is $4. On to number 8, and number 8 goes to The Last Barbarians. This is issue 1, series premiere. This is an interesting story about a barbarian that's not part of the guild. And you would think that living in this fantasy-like world that she would have everything handed to her, or it would be easy for her. No, she's not part of the guild. She doesn't have a job. She's a struggling barbarian, and she has a disabled brother who is huge, like over 7 feet tall. This sounds like a very interesting fantasy style of adventure, which I'm looking forward to, something different. All right, moving on to number 7. I love this series, but it's like fallen off my excitement radar, right? This is 8 Billion Genies. This is issue 7. It's been a while since we've gotten an issue, and that's definitely disappointing. It's now, we've seen the first 8 years after the first Genie Day. So now we're going to visit the first 8 decades. So 8 decades has gone by. We're going to see how the world has changed, who has their genies still, who doesn't have their genies. I love the story. Again, it's just taken too long to come out, and I hate when that happens because it takes all the momentum out of it. So when I get all these issues, I'm going to have to reread the whole thing again and get the full appreciation of this book. This is 40 pages, and this is $4. Moving on to number 6, we have Spider-Man: The Last Hunt, issue 4. It's kind of crazy how this has been the best Spider-Man book on the shelves so far. And that's pretty sad considering that we have an Amazing Spider-Man title, we have a Spider-Man title, and now you got this one, right? So this story, though, is obviously kind of a secondary story to Kraven's Last Hunt, as we get to learn about Kraven's like best friend Gregor, who is also now trying to kill Spider-Man based off of what Spider-Man did to Kraven. He doesn't get that Kraven killed himself and all this other stuff, but he holds Spider-Man responsible. But in this particular issue, we're going to find out Kraven the Hunter's origin story. That's pretty big right here. It's kind of weird how we never knew Kraven's origin story. So does that make this a spec book? So that's kind of cool. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. 28 pages, $4. Top 5 now. The best deal in comic books going. This is Nightclub issue 3, done by Mark Millar. And this book has been great. I love the second issue better than the first issue, as we get introduced to a young boy who was bitten by a vampire, recruited by a vampire to be part of his army. He has released him out into the wild, and now this kid, he's like, oh, I want to make my friends into vampires, and we're going to have our own little vampire superhero group. And we're going to record themselves on YouTube and all this stuff. And they're just exploring their natural abilities. And at the end of the last issue, you see them come across a school bully and just kind of beat his ass with a basketball. So that second issue is very lighthearted, so I have a feeling that issue 3 is going to get a little bit dark, and we're going to wind up seeing what the mission's at hand for these kids. That's my prediction. The artwork is absolutely astounding. For $1.99, you are getting a phenomenal story here. So definitely support this comic. So maybe one day we can get comics back to this price again. It's highly unlikely because of the cost of everything, but when you have a major creator like Mark Millar, who's come out with movies and Netflix shows, he has the funds, the resources to kind of do this, right? Coming in at number 4, we have Mary Jane and Black Cat, issue 3. We have the two characters actually trapped in limbo still, but this is not technically a dark web tie-in. This just seems like this is like an ongoing series now, and they're trapped by Belasco, who was the former ruler of Limbo, and it looks like they have to try to get they go into this screaming tower and try to get, I think it was the Soul Sword, if I'm not mistaken, or whatnot. And this is a kind of an interesting story because it's with these two women in here. They both have relationships with Peter, and Mary Jane is, holding out on all her little hidden secrets on how she got her superpowers, and Black Cat is holding out on her true feelings towards Peter, and how, if she relays those feelings to Mary Jane, like, is Mary Jane gonna be jealous? Like, so she's holding out on all that stuff. Jen McKay is writing this book. It's an absolutely outstanding book. When you talk about stuff that was coming out of the black web, of a dark web event, this was like one of the better books, and it's a shame that these major characters were really left out of that event. Like, we didn't see Mary Jane in the event. We didn't see Black Cat really in the event, right? We didn't even see Queen Goblin in the event, and she was created in the Beyond story arc. So it's kind of weird, right? But nevertheless, at least this book exists. I'm looking forward to it. 28 pages, $4. Top 3 now. Here we go. Gunslinger issue 17. This is always a great book drawn by Brett Booth, as we got introduced to a new character that is like the Speed Force, like the Flash, right? Has kind of like the Speed Force around it. It's interesting that Brett Booth is doing it. I wonder if he like requested to Todd, be like, can you come up with a guy that's like super fast so I can like draw Flash again? Like, I thought that was kind of cool, that maybe if that was his request and Todd was like, yeah, sure, why not? You know how Todd is, right? So I'm looking forward to this. Gunslinger's going after all the people that has hurt him and killed his, I think it was his sister and whatnot, or of his wife. I don't remember who it is. Whatever. It's someone in his family. That's all that matters. He's got a hit list and he's trying to take them down. Another inexpensive comic book, $2.99. Number 2. I love this book, man. This is Murder World Moon Knight issue 1. Okay. So anytime you see the Murder World banner, that is one continuous story. So if you see these at the comic shop, pick these all up, because this is all one continuous story. Don't pay attention to the name underneath. Like the first one was like Murder World Avengers, and it was Murder World Spider-Man, and it's Murder World Wolverine. This is Murder World Moon Knight. They're all like robots fighting against these people that are stuck in this Murder World's Arcade's Murder World arena, where it's just normal human beings trying to fight each other for $100,000, and they do all kinds of like Squid Game stuff. It's a great series. It's so much fun, and some of the characters in here are interesting, and some of the games that they've come out with are quite interesting too. I love this book. This is definitely a recommend. Curious what the Moon Knight robot is going to be like. The one time I'm assuming it's the robot, it's actually going to be Moon Knight. So this one is 28 pages, and this is $4. Guys, so before we hit number 1, remember, we're not done, as we still got to go through a few of the noteworthy comic books coming out that week. And number 1 goes to another Mark Miller comic book. This one goes to Nemesis Reloaded. This is issue 2. The first issue wasn't too bad, as we get to see Nemesis. His plan is to take over all of Los Angeles, and he feels like the police population can possibly stop him. So what he's going to do is he's putting a bounty on every single police officer in Los Angeles so he can try to take over the entire state. And he's letting normal Joe Schmoes kind of take out the cops here. It's very controversial, which I can say, right? Maybe people will stray away from this comic book because it does push the envelope. And if you do, that's absolutely fine. But just remember, this is just a story. This is all make-believe. And I really find it interesting. And I love the first volume of this. And I want to know in the comments below, did you go out and buy that first volume and read that before you read this? Did you find your back issues? Let me know. Can't wait for this book. This is $4. All right, so here we go. Noteworthy comic books getting ready to come out. The first one I'm going to talk about is from Marvel. This is Spider-Man issue 5, as we're continuing this end of the Spider-Verse nonsense. That shit needs to end, boy. And then we have X-Men issue 19, as this one is, I guess, crossing over with Captain Marvel, and they're doing like brood battles and stuff like that. Nothing really has to do with what's happening in Sins of Sinister and the other X-Men books. Then we have Hulk issue 12, as this is getting ready to wrap up very soon, as it ends at issue 14, and it looks like that Titan might be arising once again. Then we move on to DC. We have Batman, Beyond the White Knight issue 8. Then we have a book that's been like a year in the making. This is Swamp Thing Green Hell. This is issue 2. Holy cow, Jeff Lemire. Where has this book been? Then we have Lazarus Planet Dark Fate issue 1, as you're following the Lazarus Planet stuff. And then we move on to some of the indies, which is House of Slaughter. This is issue 12. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue 137. And then we have The Walking Dead Deluxe issue 57. So there you guys have it. There are my top 10 most anticipated and noteworthy comic books getting ready to hit store shelves on February 15th, 2023. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Tell me in the comments below what you're most excited for. And if you guys love my content, I'm going to leave you my top 10 comic book covers of the week where you guys can vote on your favorite comic book cover of the week. That's right, guys. It's a year-long series. So much fun. And of course, guys, as always, keep buying, keep collecting, but most importantly, you gotta read those comics. Guys, I'll see you real soon. Take care.